Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this easy and size adjustable sweater. Grab your yarn and your hook. Begin by making a slip knot. And we are going to begin by casting on the number of stitches we will need for the front of the sweater. So whatever size you need, that's the width of the cast on that you're going to make. Make sure to make it an even number of stitches. Once you have the width that you need, we are going to make a single crochet into the second chain from our hook. Then we are going to chain one, skip one, and make a single crochet into the next chain stitch. And we are going to continue this pattern for the whole sweater. Chain one, skip one, and make a single crochet into the next. Chain one, skip one, and a single crochet into the next. Once you've reached the end of the row, you should end up with a single crochet. Then chain one and turn your work. Now we are going to make one stitch into that one single crochet that we had just made. Then chain one, and now we're going to do our single crochets into the holes that were created from the chain ones that we did from the previous row. If it's difficult to find those little holes, you can stretch out and then you could clearly see where the stitch one was and where the chain one was, and you're going to go into the hole from the chain one. When you reach the end of the row, instead of going into the hole from the chain one, you are going to go into the last stitch that's all the way at the end of the row. This will create a very neat and flat side. Then chain one, turn around, and again go into that first stitch that you just made, chain one, and continue going into the holes from the chain ones of the previous row. You are going to continue this way until you have a big enough panel for the front of the sweater. After doing a few rows, I had chosen to change colors. I'll show you how I do that if you would like to do it also. When I've reached the end of the row, I make that last stitch, but I don't finish it. When I have two loops on the hook, I took my second color and with the second color finished this stitch. This ensures a smooth and seamless color change. Then I just continued regular with the new color. Once your front panel is big enough, now we can just cast off. So on that last stitch, instead of doing a chain one, cut your yarn and pull it through the loop to secure. Now we are going to make another panel, which will be for the back, exactly the same as the front panel that we made. Once the front and the back panels are done, we can start on the sleeves. The sleeves are very similar to how we made the front and back panels. The only difference would be the size. Cast on enough stitches to go all around the hand, as this panel is going to be folded over. And then make it as long as you would like your sleeve to be. Once your sleeve panel is long enough, we can close off our project, and this time I'm going to leave an extra long tail to be able to use it to sew up the sleeve after. If you don't leave a long tail, that's no problem. You can always add a longer thread after. Once you've finished both sleeve panels, now we can start assembling. We are going to begin by sewing up one sleeve. Take your darning needle and fold the sleeve panel in half. Then we are going to begin sewing along the side. Taking one stitch from each side and sewing them together. When you've reached the top of the sleeve, now you can choose whether you want it to be in this side out or the other side out. It looks a little bit different, but not much different, so you can choose whichever you prefer. Now we are going to connect it to our first panel of the front or the back. It doesn't really matter because they're exactly the same. So take your panel and line it up to the side of this sleeve. Try to line it up as much as possible so that it should be as exact as possible. And now we're going to begin sewing one side of the opening of the sleeve together with the side of the upper part of the front panel. Once you've reached the top, now we're going to grab the second panel, align it with the other side of the sleeve opening, and begin sewing down those two together. When we've reached the end of the sleeve, we're going to continue sewing together the rest of the front and back panels. I am going to switch to a different color yarn for this part since I've made it in a different color, but if you're doing it in the same color, then there's no need to change. Just continue sewing both panels together. When you've reached the end, make a little knot to secure it. And then cut, leaving a little bit of a tail, which we'll sew in later. Here we can see that our sweater is beginning to come along. We've already gotten our first sleeve attached. And now we're going to repeat this entire process exactly the same for the other side, beginning with sewing together the sleeve and then sewing it to the front and back panels and finishing sewing together the front and back panels on this side. Once you've done sewing it all up, now we are going to sew the shoulders. So if you have a tail already from before, you can use that. If not, you could attach a new piece of yarn and basically just take the two shoulder sides, sew them together for as much as you want, making sure to leave a big enough space for the head. When you're working on your second side of the shoulder, you can simply compare them by folding your work in half and making sure that they're exactly the same size. And now all that's left to do is to sew in all your ends, beginning with this one of the shoulder. Just go around any ends that you find, sew them in a little, and then snip the rest. And your sweater is done! I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and found it useful. All the best!